Welcome to the United Stand. It's the Ole Gunnar press conference reaction, Solskjaer for Huddersfield versus Manchester United. And I'm going to get straight into the thing that we're most interested about at the moment. We know we're not getting top four. We know these last two games of the season are effectively dead. So let's start off with, I think this is positive news. I think it's really, really positive news. And I think it's good news. It's not... We don't know. We can't predict the future. But talking about transfers, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has basically hung himself out to dry. And I'm glad. I don't want any uncertainty about this summer. He's been asked about transfers, and there's two massive things that he said. The first one, he was asked about technical director. Does that worry you going into such a big transfer window? Do you have the final say? He has said, yes, I've got the final say on who goes and who comes into this football club. That is a massive statement. That is as big as what he said last week, that he thinks Paul Pogba will be a player of United next season. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has moved us away from that uncertainty about Ed Woodward. He's either protecting Ed Woodward, which would be silly, and the board. He's saying, I'm in charge of who goes and who comes in. So if there's any concern about that was a bad signing or that was a bad player to keep, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has said it's on his shoulders. And that's what we want as Manchester United fans, so that when it works, we can say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the man. And when it doesn't work, well, we can reassess. But I'm happy about that, and I'm happy that he's come out and said it. The second thing he said is that with regards to the Europa League effect, he was asked, will that have an impact on the sort of players that are coming into your club? He says it's about the long term, and you'd be surprised how many agents want are contacting us saying that their players want to come to Manchester United. He said you lot don't get surprised by much, but you'd be very surprised by the sort of players that want to come to Manchester United. So the way I interpret that is that if the press are going to be surprised, we as fans are going to be surprised. So I wouldn't be surprised if Koulibaly wants to come to Manchester United. So that doesn't surprise me. I wouldn't be surprised if Bruno Fernandes wants to come to United. But I would be surprised if a Jadon Sancho wanted to come, as I said this morning on the Transfer Daily, which you can watch by clicking the eye in the top right-hand corner. I would be surprised if a Verratti wanted to come to Manchester United. So that is encouraging. That is encouraging. And I think those two statements from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer are not... I don't think they're going to come back and bite him on the backside, but I think they're two statements that we will certainly revisit throughout the summer, and especially at the start of the season, when we look at it and go, well, right, Europa League's not an impact then. You're telling us that you've got agents of players that would be a very big surprise to come to United, despite whether we're in the Europa League or not. So let's see the evidence of that during the summer, because the only one who can, hypothetical then, let me explain it. Jadon Sancho's agent contacts Manchester United and says Jadon Sancho would quite like a move this summer. United end up signing Marcus Albrighton. That would be, in August, we'd go, well, what about these players that we're already surprised that want to come to United, but you bought Marcus Albrighton? That would be a reflection on the club not putting their money where their mouth is. So that's the example of that. So that's exciting. And then obviously the second one, which we'll revisit in August, will be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer saying that he's got the final say on who comes in and who goes out. Well, if we lose Pogba, De Gea, Herrera, and we keep Jones, Young and Smalling, well, Ole, what's going on? So, I mean, that's the worst case scenario. That won't happen. So I'm very excited about that. I'm not excited about Huddersfield and Cardiff. I said it on the preview last night. I think they're deadwood games for a deadwood team. I'm excited about the summer, and I'm excited about what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has said. I don't think he's a liar. I don't think he's a manipulator. And I think when he says he's in charge of transfers, and I think when he says there's some very, very exciting players that want to come to our football club, then that excites me, and I look forward to it. So let's see what happens. Do you think they might want to come to United just because they think they could get a big paycheck, says Greg Devil 10? Well, I think that question's absolutely brilliant, Greg. I think he's spot on, and we've spoken about this. If I don't want to badmouth the player, so let's just say there's a Di Maria type who wants to come to United. Yeah, that's interesting, but we must look at it in that sense as well. Why do they want to come to United? Is it about the money? Because over the last 3 years, we've got a reputation of overpaying players. I mean, if you're a footballer who's only interested in money and you've seen Alexis Sanchez be paid 400 grand a week, you're thinking, I'll have some of that pie, load me up, put a bit of cream on and custard. Great, absolutely superb. So we do need to be careful about that. Just very quickly on Alexis Sanchez, by the way. Talk coming in late last night, early this morning, that Manchester United are willing to pay off half of his contract to remove him from Manchester United. I think that would be money well spent. I don't know about you lot, but I'd be very, very happy with that. So Alexis Sanchez needs to be removed from this football club for many reasons, really. The main one should always be he's not good enough on the pitch, but also because because of the wage. It's ridiculous. Loads of other things he was asked about. Obviously, the typical the thing that irritated me a bit is that we're disappointed after Chelsea, but we've still got a chance of top four, and we've got to focus on that. We haven't got a chance of top four. That's bollocks. It is. I'm sorry to swear, but it is. The really disappointing thing is that Mason Greenwood won't play. And I spent a lot of time talking about this in the preview. He will not play against Huddersfield. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has confirmed that. He said hopefully he will have an involvement against Cardiff, but he won't play tomorrow because he's bloody injured. And this happened before. He gets injured at the key time. So there will be no Mason Greenwood on Sunday, which makes me think, how do I even get myself up for this game? We will. We'll watch it. We'll do the watch along. We'll hope for a United win. We'll hope for a good performance. But, disappointed. Umberto Palatin mentions Verratti with Riola, obviously. I would love Verratti to come to Manchester United. I really would. Jizzy06 says Ollie is delusional. Well, the thing about that is, and look, you've always got to have two sides to the coin. Of course you have. But the thing about that is that when you talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's a very honest man. He's a very honest man. And I want him as a United manager. I want him to be successful. But what I've said is, and I will be honest, I don't know whether that's hope or stupidity. I don't know whether Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to be successful. To be honest with you, as a percentage, I'm 50-50. I want him to be successful. I want him to do well. But I don't know whether he will. I can't give that answer. I want it, but I don't know. But what I do like about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is, he's a bit naive. He talks about top four like it can be done. I don't think it can. But he's exposed himself. And that honesty is very interesting. And on the other way, this is very interesting as well. He was asked to give specifics because he mentioned players that were out injured. He was asked to give specifics about injuries. And he basically said something along the lines of, wait a minute. I'll keep talking to you here, but I'm just getting a little bit annoyed by the lighting. He was asked to talk about the... you can never judge the lighting when you're filming the day. It's a piece... It really does annoy me. He was asked about the injuries, specific injuries, and he said... I'm not giving you an injury update. You'll get it anyway from whoever you're getting it from. Now that's a frustration from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it's a worrying thing from Manchester United because we've had this a while now, whereby we are getting players. We have a leak in the dressing room, don't we? We clearly have a leak in the dressing room, and that is becoming a problem for Manchester United. But he obviously conveyed that. He obviously conveyed that. I watched a video today that said Victor Valdez was on 150 grand a week. If that's true, Ed Woodward must be on some cheap drugs, says Sharath Kamath Fitness. We overpay, mate. We overpay. That's what we do. But look, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said about that. He was asked about contracts. He says, I'm not giving you any updates on that. So I do detect a frustration in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but I think he's just a nice guy. But that came across as frustration, that he's saying, I'm not giving you injury updates because you get them from somewhere anyway. There's clearly moles in United, which we've known about for about 3 or 4 years now. But what I do like about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is, for anyone who's joining late, the honesty around transfers. To say, I've got the final say on who goes and who comes in this summer, it puts his neck on the line, which is what you want. You want your manager. I'm not digging Ollie out here. You want your manager to be the person in charge. Now, if he makes mistakes, it's on his shoulders, but he's admitted it's on him. Great. And then the second thing, like I say, when he says about the Europa League, that you'd be surprised the sort of players that want to come to United. We've got agents contacting United saying that these players want to come to United this summer. You'll be surprised who it is. So to me, there's two things there. I expect big players to come to United this summer, and I expect them to be very high quality, and I expect them to have the right attitude. So let's see what happens. All eyes on Ollie, all eyes on this summer. Very excited about it. He did speak about De Gea. Will De Gea play on Sunday? Yes. But he did quantify that by saying that Romero is injured. He was asked whether Romero would have played if he wasn't injured, and he said, well, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I suspect Romero probably would have played on Sunday if he'd been fit. He's not fit, so De Gea will play. He was asked about Rashford and Lukaku. Rashi hasn't scored in his last 6. Lukaku's not scored in his last 8. He said that we've not scored enough from the chances that we've created. That happens in football. If you look at the start, my first 3 months when we were doing really well, our shot efficiency was very good, and De Gea was playing very good. And now at the end of the season, where we're doing badly, we're not scoring our chances, and we're struggling at the back as well. You know, you can say that's football. I would look a little bit deeper there. I think it's not a coincidence that our strikers aren't performing. I think it's not a coincidence that our defence is not performing as well. Rashford is deadwood, says Gamer Droid. And Partey and Verratti and Icardi, says Bobby Daz. Oh, look, I'm very excited about what United can do this summer, and I'm more excited now that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has taken ownership of it. So please do smash a like on the video, and make sure you watch Transfer Daily this morning, which I did about a few players. Click the eye in the top right hand corner. That's every morning at 7 a.m. He was asked about whether Manchester United... Well, let's talk about this first. He was asked about Anthony Martial's warm-up last week. If anybody hasn't seen Anthony Martial's warm-up last week, it was an embarrassment. Really no efforts. Ollie apparently wasn't very happy with it. But I think the way he was asked the question, Martial's warm-up last week, you know, since his contract, has he gone off the boil? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said, look, Anthony Martial's got goals in him. It's about moving forward and getting the best out of Anthony Martial. That's good management. You know, he could throw him under the bus and say his attitude stinks, but he's just given this player a 5-year contract. We know the potential of Anthony Martial, and I hate saying potential because it should be talent, but it's still a potential because he's not hitting the consistent levels. We shouldn't be selling Anthony Martial in the summer. So he's here for 5 years. He's an expensive player. I don't know what he's on a week, but it'll be well over 100 grand a week. We need to get the best out of Anthony Martial. So that, you know, I think that was a fair answer. Does he need to bring in players to score goals? He says we've got goals in the team, and you know, it's about working on that, which I think is fair. What else? Yeah, top four still possible apparently. But for me, the very interesting things were the technical director. Are you worried about not having a sporting director or a director of football going into the biggest transfer window? No, I've got the final say on who goes and who comes in. So that's on Ollie's shoulders, which is all we want to hear. And the Europa League effect, will that affect the players coming in? No, it's about the long term, and you'd be surprised the number of agents that are contacting us wanting their players at United this summer. So we'll see. I think United have got to deliver this summer. The next 2 games against Huddersfield and Cardiff, 6 points guaranteed. Good performances guaranteed. I mean, he was also asked about have you already made your mind up on some of these players, or can they change your mind? And he said, well, you know, at the end of the day, every day is a chance for them to change their mind. I personally don't agree with that. I don't, you know, you're telling me that if Lukaku scores a hat-trick against Cardiff, that's going to change your mind for next season. No, look at the stats, mate. He's a flip-flop. He's inconsistent. He can't hold the ball up. And his record against the top 6 is crap, and it's always been crap. Get rid. Alexis Sanchez plays well against Huddersfield. Does that mean you give him a chance next season? No. He's on 400 grand a week. He's a flop. Get rid. And there's a lot of players like that. Performances against Cardiff and Huddersfield are too late. I said this on the preview last night. There's no pressure on United now. There's no pressure. They're playing crap teams that are getting relegated. I expect good performances, but it doesn't change. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when he sits down at the end of this season, he needs to look at between middle of February and last week. That's where he should look at his team for next year. Don't look at your first 3 months where we had that bounce back because everyone tried, and don't look at the games against Cardiff and Huddersfield where the pressure's off and we're playing crap teams and everyone performs. Look at the middle of February to the game against Chelsea, analyse those performances, those games, and that's where you decide who's here and not, because when the pressure was on, a lot of these players bottled it, down tools, didn't put the effort in. That's the window he needs to look at in this transfer window. The players who performed, keep them. The players who are good enough, keep them. The players who were tried but aren't good enough, get rid of them. And the players that have the talent but didn't deliver, get rid of them. It's a lot of work to do, but that's the window. When you're looking at who's a United player and who's not a United player, don't look at the big wins against the shit teams. Look at when the going got tough, who stood up. And he's got a lot of players he needs to clear out. A lot of players. Ronaldo for 100 million is impossible, says Gamer Droid. I don't think that Ronaldo at United will ever happen, but I'm sure there'll be some mention of it over the transfer window because that seems to be what happens. Ed Woodward has all the power. That has to change, says our engine. Gosh, well, no. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has said he has the final say on who comes into the club and who goes out of the club. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is lying, which I don't think he is. So if United only spend 100 million, you blame the board. If United spend 300 million, 250 million, 200 million, I think that's reasonable. You look at who's brought in, you look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That's all we want. I'm happy with that. As long as the money's given, it's not really about the board. If the money is put down by the board this summer, it's about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and what sort of player he brings in. Apparently people are queuing up. Surprising players are queuing up to come to United. Ole's got the final say. So the third factor is how much have we got to spend. Doesn't matter who's queuing up and Ole's got the final say if we're only spending 70 million like last season. But if he's got 200 million, people are queuing up. Surprising people are queuing up. And Ole's got the final say. Of course, what I would say, and I've seen a few people say it in the live comments, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when he says you'd be surprised who wants to come to Manchester United, if it's Gareth Bale and we're meant to be surprised by King Gareth wanting to come to United, one, I'm not surprised, and two, don't bloody sign him. Gareth Bale wanting to come to United is not surprising. A massive final paycheck for an injury flop, that's not surprising. Gareth Bale will swim from Spain to come to Manchester United. That is not surprising. When you say, Ollie, that you'd be surprised the sort of players that want to come to United, I'll tell you what, my surprise level is quite high. Bruno Fernandes doesn't surprise me. Declan Rice doesn't surprise me. Ndembele doesn't surprise me. People like Jadon Sancho, Verratti, they surprise me. Gareth Bale don't surprise me. Like I say, he's got his bloody rubber ring and armbands. He's swimming from Madrid. He can't wait to get here. That doesn't surprise me. So I'm interested. I'm intrigued. You've got my attention, Ollie. I'm interested on this summer now. And I'm very happy that it's all on your shoulders. Anyway, please do smash a like on the video, everyone. Subscribe if you're new. And make sure you watch Transfer Daily. Quick turnaround this morning. 10 a.m. live for the press conference. But 7 a.m. we put up Transfer Daily. Big section on Jadon Sancho. And a very interesting part about Yuri Tillemans and Wan-Bissaka and Ruben Diaz. So give it a watch. Click the eye in the top right-hand corner. I'm back again at 8 o'clock tonight. Looking forward to that Friday night. In general, I thought that press conference was going to leave me feeling a bit flat. Ultimately, everything he said about Huddersfield and Cardiff did. But I'm excited about what he said about the summer. That's the thing I'll take from that. So positivity, smash a like. I'll speak to you all later. Get over and watch Transfer Daily. It's only 10 minutes. Really, really well put together and some really interesting about Yuri Tillemans. Speak to you soon.